12:09 on Wednesday night.
Okay.
Um, my son was getting a bunches. He was drinking, and and I called 911 about between 7:30 and 8, and then he was throwing things around, and he was throwing things around in the bathroom, and and I called 911, and at the same time my son left, and he ran out the door. When he was gone for like 15 minutes, I I have left to look for him. I got in the car and I looked for him. I went down towards Zuni Street, and when I got to the stop sign, and on my left side, and I saw a bunch of APS car park, flashing. Their cars flashing down the street on my left side. So I drove by slowly, see what was going on, and then I couldn't see, and I just went on to his friend's house. It's on Southern and San Pueblo, to see if my son was there at his friend's house. So I went over there, and okay, when I'm trying to look for my son, well, he wasn't at his friend's house. So I went back on the road again, and his friend said that he didn't show up at his house. So we went and looked for him again. It was raining that night. So then when I got back on Zuni Street again, it was raining that night. I drove by Zuni Alcazar Street again, and real slowly again, and that's when I went back to where the police officer's car flashing again. That's where my mind just kept going back because my son was gone, and it was, and then I turned around real slowly again and drove right by an officer. I drove by real slowly, and I rolled my window down, and it was my son sitting on the curb, and he was in handcuffs. And I pulled over. I pulled over to an empty space, and I ran over. And I've asked him because I thought he was hit by a car. And when I approached him, I thought he was really hit by a car, and I was told to stay away from him.
Now, why did you think he had been hit by a car?
His his face was so messed up that they didn't realize that was him. But the clothes that he was wearing, that was the clothes that he was wearing. I recognized the clothes that he was wearing when he left the house. But he has long hair. He's Native American Indian. He had long hair, but it was covering. But he was handcuffed in the back, and when he swung his head a little bit, his lip was just open, and his eyes was just, I can't see his eyes. He was unrecognizable.
Let me ask you a couple of questions. At the point that your son left the house, what was he wearing, and did he have any injuries when he left the house?
He did not have no injuries. He did not have. He just ran out, and he was wearing black tennis shoes, an ankle socks, and a shorts, blue shorts, sticky shorts, blue, and he was wearing a light blue shirt.
Okay, so he leaves the house after a short disturbance at home. He takes off. You're trying to find him. At some point, you come to where the police have now got him detained. Was he handcuffed when you found him?
Yes, I found him when he was handcuffed.
Okay, now he's handcuffed at that point, and where was he? He was sitting on the curb?
He's sitting at the curb. He's sitting on the curb, but there was an officer's car parked out on the street. They were parked right on the street, and he's sitting on the concrete, and there's more officers in the back.
Okay, now at the point that he's sitting down and you see him, you drove up, you parked your car, you got out, and they told you to stay back.
Yeah, they told me to stay back.
Okay, now just walk me through all the injuries, if what you could actually see. You said his face and his lip was cut. Were there any other injuries that you could see?
His face was so beat up I couldn't recognize him, but his hair was really long, and it's pouring and it's raining. And when he whipped his hair a little bit this way, and the officers asked me, "Who is this? Stay away from him. We don't know who he is." And I go, "That's my son. I called earlier, but he was drinking and he left the house." And the officer just asked me to stay away from him, but I don't know why. And they asked me who this young man was, and I gave him his name and who he was, in his date of birth, and that's when they told me just to stay back. And I don't know. And there was an officer. He came up to me and he asked me what my, if I was a witness. He goes, "Are you a witness? And are you a witness?" And I go, "No, I'm his mother." And he goes, "I need your social security number and I need your date of birth and I need your name." And when I was giving that to him, he was really, really rude to me. He was yelling at me. And
was there any reason for him to be rude to you? I mean, were you being disrespectful in any way to him?
He was really disrespectful. I mean, he was just yelling at me, and I'm thinking he has no need to yell at me. He didn't know who I was until I told him. And he's trying to ask for my, for my name, and I gave him the information about my son's name. That was it. And I told him, "You know what? I refused you. I want to talk to another officer." And he started cussing at me, and he turned away, and he was walking away. I told him, "I don't want to talk to you." And he was small. He was small and blonde, and he had glasses.
Okay,
And
so he had a bad attitude and was being disrespectful.
yeah, so I refused him. I said, "You're yelling at me," and there was three more officers standing to my right side, and the officer walked away. He goes, "Then I don't have nothing to say to you." So he walked away. As he was walking away, he looks back to me, and he was just yelling back, and he says, he's telling me, this guy here, he's going away for a long time, and I'll make sure of that. And that's what he said. And
Now let me ask you a question. The only crime that your son had committed when he left the house is just disturbing the peace of the house. I mean, he basically he was behaving a little badly at home, and when he ran away, he wasn't wanted for anything, was he?
Nothing. He was on he was on what do you call it? I bailed him out since June, and he was on a bail bond, but he went to court for that, so I don't know.
Okay.
And then,
All right. Now go ahead and continue and finish telling me what happened.
okay, and then I saw I okay I saw I saw three more officers to my right, and I turned around to them, and I just looked at them, and I'm not saying anything. And then at the same time, there's two more officers standing there, and then at least one was nice, and all the one said, "What is your son is going to university, UNMH, that's the hospital." And then I saw Sergio in handcuffed behind his back, and then he was still bleeding. They walked him to the ambulance, and it took 45 minutes for me to get to the hospital, and to where they were taking him. But he was put in a hallway where like a triage, but he was handcuffed to the gurney, and he stayed there all night. And there was three officers there, and they refused us because we wanted to take pictures, and we wanted to know how his injuries and how bad it was, and we wanted to ask them. But the nurses have refused us. The nurses, the doctors, and the officers have refused us, and they won't let us take no pictures of his lacerations to the head.
They refused to let you take pictures. Do you know if they took pictures?
No, they would not give us no answer. And he's saying that he's in a police custody. We cannot give you no information. You cannot visit. And all I was telling him is I want pictures of his beating to the head real bad. His lips were cut open, deep. Let's see, and his all the front teeth is all knocked out.
They knocked his teeth out?
Yeah. He's only 26 years old, and he don't have no teeth now.